back to another episode of the Amateur Hour podcast. I'm Jacob, and I'm joined by Adam.
Yeah.
Hashtag more Adam.
Hashtag more Adam in the chat.
Adam is here for another episode, and today we're going to be talking about Arsenal. Didn't put them in the crisis club yesterday. However, we do want to bring them up. We don't necessarily put them in crisis mode, but there is definitely some talking points in terms of the future of Unai Emery, the future of Granit Xhaka, and just how the club is performing at the moment. So, Adam, let me just give a little synopsis of the situation at the moment. So, on the weekend, they were winning 2-0 at home to Crystal Palace, who are doing quite well in the Premier League right now, actually. I believe they're in 6th place. Anyways, 2-0 up, blew the lead. It was 2-2. They subbed off Granit Xhaka, and the entire home crowd started booing him. As he was walking off the pitch, he kind of cupped his ear to say, I can't hear you, taunting the crowd that are booing him. And then he took off his jersey and stormed down the tunnel. Let me remind anybody who doesn't know this, Granit Xhaka is the club captain of Arsenal.
Yes.
Worrisome situation, if you ask me. And I love the Arsenal turmoil. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is just so wonderful for me. But Granit Xhaka, what do you make of this situation, Adam?
I think this is one of the worst things that probably could have happened for Arsenal at this point in time. Granit Xhaka, new club captain. Monreal's gone, Koscielny's gone. So all the other older players are kind of on their way out of Arsenal. Yeah. Czech's gone. Granit Xhaka, 27 years old. Not at the end of his career, not at the beginning of his career. He should be in the prime.
Entering his prime.
Be in his prime. He definitely should have had more class. If you're getting booed off... Do you hear why he was getting booed off the pitch?
Probably because he wasn't playing very well.
It's because he was walking.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that.
So they were tied 2-2 in an important game. Let's call it a London derby, and they're batting 5th for 6th, and it's tied 2-2, and he's walking off the pitch.
I wouldn't even put it down to important. I would just say, you're tied 2-2 in a winnable game. You get off the pitch so we can win this game and save some time.
No, he took his time to get off. He wanted to make sure everyone knew who he was, and I don't think that's what a captain should be doing, or I don't think he deserves to be captain, in my opinion. I called him out in the Crisis Club Monday yesterday. I called him out for not being a fit captain. I did some research. He was the captain for Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga first season.
He was very young at that.
And he was still young, so he's in his 22, 23, and he was captain for a season. Then he left because he had a good season, came to Arsenal. He's never really been that good. You know what I mean?
He's a decent player.
He's a decent player. They signed him for, I don't know how much it was back then, but they signed him. He was supposed to be like this like Patrick Vieira beast in the midfield, like box to box, work hard, and what he showed us on the weekend was definitely not the quality of a captain.
No.
Do you agree?
No, it's inexcusable for your captain. What I've seen on the situation is that Granit Xhaka was selected by his peers as captain. So the Arsenal players elected him as captain. So,
that should be even better.
You look at the roster, and there's not really much captain material within the team. But apparently he's very popular amongst his teammates, and they adore him so much that they decided to elect him as captain. But it's even more incentive in this situation. This is the guy that the teammates really look up to. They look to him for guidance, especially electing him as captain, and this is abysmal. This is absolutely ridiculous. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
There's absolutely no excuse. If I'm Unai Emery, I strip the captaincy away from him again. I definitely do not play him in their next game. I don't know when I'd play him again. I don't know. I'd have to have him formally address the team and apologize, maybe even formally address the fans and apologize to them, because that is simply not okay.
It's disrespectful to the fans. It's disrespectful to the players, to the coach to be doing that.
And to the club.
So he's going to have to prove himself. Either it's in training or it's in a statement, or... because I don't think he's going to get much game time the next couple of games.
Next game, they got the midweek clash against Liverpool in the League Cup.
Yeah.
After that, they're playing Wolves at home. Not an easy game. And they have a Europa League game against Vitoria and then they play Leicester in the Premier League away. So not an easy schedule. Liverpool's tough. Like Liverpool's can't understate Liverpool's dominance. Wolves is a tricky game. Then there's the Europa League away. Always tough game when you go somewhere away in Europe. And then Leicester are high flying right now, and that's going to be at the King Power. So not a favorable set of fixtures coming up. And they've just come off 2 unfavorable results. They drew against Crystal Palace, and they lost 1-0 to Sheffield, if you don't include the 3-2 winning in the Europa League. But
yeah, which was not convincing either.
Was not. They
down
two late free kicks from Nicolas Pepe.
Yeah.
Not the guy you really want to be leaning on to take you out of trouble right now, the way he's been playing. But it's really, really not good enough. And he's gotten a lot of stick in the past because his disciplinary record's not great. Like last season, he got 10 yellow cards. The season before, he got 10 yellow cards, and the season before that, he got 5 yellows and 2 reds. And
he has an attitude problem.
There's an attitude problem for sure. For sure, it is an attitude problem, and it doesn't make sense to me why he's acting in such a manner. Like, it's inexcusable. It's not good enough. I cannot get on board with this kind of play. I think this guy can't be your captain again. I honestly consider ever playing him again. Like he's really got to do something on a personal level to make up for what he's just done.
Earn the respect, earn the trust again.
Earn the trust of his manager, earn the trust of his teammates, and earn the trust of the fans. Because I've seen Arsenal fan TV clips, and well, I don't advocate for a lot of the things they say, but they like I said in the Christ Club, so they want his head. And a lot of people are saying he should never play for Arsenal again. And honestly, think about it as your club. Think about if at your club your captain did something like this. Like West Ham, you wouldn't really expect that from Mark Noble. Like that one's maybe a bit different because he's just been there. He's so long. He's an absolute legend for the club. But just listening to this, imagine your club captain in any scenario doing this.
So an incident I wanted to highlight was in 2015, Xhaka was still playing when he's playing for Borussia Mönchengladbach. They played Man City in their last group stage game. They ended up losing 2-1.
Champions League, sorry.
Yeah, it's Champions League group stage. They ended up losing 2-1. Xhaka received a red card for striking an opponent in the first half. So he physically tried to punch or hit or something.
In the final group game.
Yeah, and what he did as an apology was he donated $20,000 to charity. Could we see something like that?
You might have to. Like I said, it's gotta be
20,000 euros, not 20,000.
Yeah, that's a great gesture, but
it's not the same.
It's I think if I'm a fan, he donated the chair. Why is that gonna make up for what he's done to disrespect the club?
Obviously, he's got money. Let's move on.
You got to do something better than that. We'll move on. We can talk about Granit Xhaka for a while. We'll go to Unai Emery because we'll bring it back to the Arsenal fan TV. They do not like Unai Emery, and they've continuously given him stick since he got hired. I think he's done generally well at the club. Lots of new faces coming in. There's still questions about their defense, still questions about the starting 11, but ultimately he hasn't done that poorly. A 5th place finish last year, very close to sneaking into the Champions League. It was some poor results near the end of the season that really took them out of that equation. But 5th place last year, they're in 5th place right now, which isn't that bad. I don't really see the stick he's getting, because before that game, before the last 2 games, they were doing pretty well in the Premier League. That's an unfavorable result against Crystal Palace. That's an unfavorable result against Sheffield. But before that, I'm just trying to pull it up here. I know they were on a good string of form. They hadn't lost in a while. I think they've won a bunch of games other than the one they tied. I'm just getting it up now. So before the Sheffield game, they beat Bournemouth, beat Standard Liège in the Europa League, tied Man United, which it's tough opponent,
game.
especially at Old Trafford.
Yep.
Beat Nottingham Forest 5-0 in the Cup. Beat Aston Villa 3-2 in the league.
With a red card.
They beat Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League 3-0. The Watford game, I'll give you that. That's a bad result. They drew 2-2. The Tottenham game, they drew 2-2, but if I'm not mistaken, they were losing 2-0. They were losing 2-0 to Tottenham. Big result. That's a tough opponent. And then a loss to Liverpool, that's not that bad. And other than that, they've won all their games. They won the other 2 Premier League games against Burnley and Newcastle.
Yeah,
they're not doing that poorly. Like 2 bad results in a row is not a necessity to fire your manager.
A trend I'm noticing is in the Premier League, not in Europa League or League Cup or anything. They're not scoring a lot of goals. 1-0 against Newcastle, 2-1 against Burnley, 1 goal against Liverpool, 1-1, 1-0 Bournemouth. They lost 1-0 in Sheffield. 2-2. So they're not. They have Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe. They got 2 known goal scorers, and I know Lacazette was out for a period of time with an injury, but I feel like they should be scoring more goals against these teams. And so there's a problem with the midfield going forward or attacking problems, but Aubameyang should be scoring more. Lacazette, Pepe should be scoring more.
Well, Pepe's at a torrid time so far at Arsenal.
And there's only so much.
You know what? If for a team in 5th, their goal difference is 1.
Yeah.
That's got to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Man United, who are like awful, have a goal difference of 3. And they don't score ever. And they can't score penalties to save their life. They've missed 3 out of 4 this season. So,
and Pogba's out until December.
Don't even get me started. There's definitely a situation Arsenal needs to be addressed. I don't think it's time to fire the manager though. Last thing we want to talk about with Arsenal is the Mesut Ozil situation.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, he hasn't been in the squad, like not even in the 18 for 5 straight games. I believe that's what the case is. And I think in the game he played before that, he got an assist.
A really nice assist.
Or
it might have been a hockey assist, but it was a really nice assist.
I'm not quite sure which game that was.
He had a long through ball. It got cut back. It was beautiful.
You're German, so
I am German. I'm a big fan of Mesut Ozil.
I'm not a big fan of Mesut Ozil, but I want you to speak on this.
I've watched him play in the national team for many years. Watched him play at Arsenal. I didn't know what soccer was when he was playing for Real Madrid. So, Mesut Ozil is a difference maker for me when I've watched him play. And I don't know if it's bullshit. Unai Emery saying he needs to rest, even though he hasn't played a game, and like he missed 3 games, and then he got kept out of a squad because he was resting him. That doesn't make sense to me. Mesut Ozil is, from what I've seen, he's a very passionate player. After Toni Kroos scored that goal against Sweden in the World Cup last year,
that free kick,
he said I've never seen him that's the passion that I usually see from him, and I don't know what maybe there's personal issues with Emery, or if there's personal issues with the club in general, but I don't really know why he.
My take: I'm not a huge fan of Mesut Ozil because he has a knack for going hiding in big games, and there's an absolute truth in that. He becomes a different player on the national team. He becomes much better, but he's a different player at the club level. Definitely is not a big game player. There's some work rate issues I see, but I understand the quality he possesses on the ball. You know, his vision is
it's up there.
It's arguably unparalleled.
Yeah.
In world football.
Yep.
He's up there in that regard, top tier, elite in that category. But work rate, goal scoring ability isn't quite there for me. I think one of the downfalls of his career is that when he became a star with Real Madrid, everybody in the world played 4-2-3-1 basically. And you got that number 10, that's Mesut Ozil's role. But now in world football, it's all about the 4-3-3 with a 1 holding mid and the 2 center mids in front of him. He doesn't really fit in that role, and he's also not really athletic and pacey enough to be the winger role in any of those situations. So I think his role is really played out in the current state of football in the world, which is problematic to him because it really limits his play time to find his best role. But what I have a problem with is that it's clear that it is not rest issues. It's clear he's not injured. It's clear he's there's nothing going on in Mesut Ozil's life that will hinder him playing for Arsenal. But yet, Unai Emery always has an excuse regarding that situation. He can't just man up and say he's just not being selected. I'd rather play other players. I don't like how Unai Emery's handling that situation and dancing around it. I think that needs to be better. That's not good enough.
Something funny I want to bring up is 5 days ago, he tweeted, "You make me laugh." and a picture of him laughing.
Mesut Ozil did.
Do you think that was towards Unai Emery for not picking him, or is it just some overthinking?
Well,
or I'm more
overthinking this. If it was 5 days ago, it was probably when the Europa League squad was selected.
Yeah.
And Mesut Ozil was not included in the 18.
Yeah.
And even in the Europa League game, like it's one thing to sit out all the Premier League games, but you think for a lot of players don't get game time. Europa League's your chance. Mm-hmm. But even Mesut Ozil was not involved in that Europa League fixture.
That was at home too.
And it was
it's not like it was worried about traveling players.
It was at home, and you got guys. I mean, no disrespect to Smith Rowe, he's been generally good this season, mm-hmm. but he started at the 10. They did play a 4-2-3-1, and Martinelli scored. I get that. Joe Willock played as well, but is there really no space in the 18 for Mesut Ozil in this situation? Like, it's baffling. It's baffling how I understand. Like I was just critical of him, but
he deserves. He's a good enough player to.
He's a good enough player to make, especially Arsenal squad.
Yeah, and they are pumping out youth players right now, which is promising.
It's good. You know what? I like.
Martellini has 2 games played in the Europa League, 3 goals, 1 assist. He played 1 game in the League Cup, scored twice, and then he's come on as a sub for Arsenal 3 times and not scored in the Premier League. So
and Sacco as well as another young guy.
Yeah, so 6 games, 5 goals in 6 games, probably against a lower team in the league.
But that's fine. That's like you score your goals when you get your chances, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I like what Unai Emery's doing in terms of changing the dynamic of Arsenal, because he's really getting rid of those old players and bringing in new stuff, working on young players, which is promising. But it's not clicking at the moment, and just something needs to be sorted. I don't think he's on him to get fired, but there's some individual situations like the Ozil and like the Xhaka situation that need to be handled a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how this episode should end. Thank you to Adam for joining for another episode. Very much appreciate it. # more Adam. Join us again soon for some more daily content. Give us your suggestions. Follow us at AmateurPDC Twitter and Instagram.